Hey everybody, we're back with another reaction and remind you that these are my opinions and not necessarily based on fact or knowledge of this content. Now, Kiya Young verdict. She was suspected of stealing alcohol from Kroger store that lead coroner drugged and acquitted a not guilty plea. Now, what I want to do is to show you all the body cam and let you make the decision and use your judgment of what happened in this trap. So, y'all, Kiya was Kiya was in a handicap spot when she went inside Kroger. And when she came outside Kroger, the police officers were already out there talking to another customer. Anyway, Connor was accused. Connor was verdict was acquitted. He was not guilty. Now, I want to show y'all. I'm going to let y'all use your own judgment. Okay? And then I'll talk about it later. She was suspected of shoplifting, not robbing the not a robbery, murder suspect. Her decision that she made wasn't necessarily, but the officer, I just don't understand why he reacted that quick as an officer. And I don't show y'all police chase, police cases. And he the first one reacted so quickly. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna let y'all see this. Hold on for 1 second. So we're going to watch the verdict, okay? We're going to watch the verdict. And right now the light is red. The jury hasn't came to a conclusion, came to a verdict. So let's watch this, y'all, and use your own judgment. The light came on. They reached the verdict.
First verdict is, we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of felonious assault as charged in count 1 of the indictment, signed this 21st day of November 2025 by each and every juror. Second verdict, we, the jury, upon our oaths and law and evidence in this case, find the defendant not guilty of felonious assault as charged in count 2 of the indictment, signed this 21st day of November 2025 by each and every juror. Third verdict, we, the jury, upon our
Okay. There you see the jury has convicted Connor Grubb a not guilty plea that caused a disturbance in the courtroom. Now, what I want y'all to watch is this is what the jury
Seniors are furious because they don't know the new Social Security increase they were supposed to receive last week. I always thought if
this is what they watch. This is where we watch this body cam. I'm gonna let y'all be the judgment of that. Let's see. Okay. So y'all, let's take a look at this. And then I want to show y'all, I really want to show y'all the one they have in court. Not the news, but I'm gonna show y'all the news version. Nah, yeah. And then I want to show you all let me show y'all this. Okay. Let me show y'all this first, okay? And then I'm gonna go back and show you I wonder is that's how it's supposed to be in Kroger's. Yeah. Let me show y'all this first, and then I'm gonna come back to this. Now, only reason why I want y'all this because she allegedly accused of shoplifting and for alcohol, but accused of murdering anyone. Okay, but let's look at this.
Two new surveillance videos, plus an extension of the body-worn camera videos from the two officers. 2TV's Liz is at Blendon Township Police to walk us through the video and the timeline of events. Blendon Township Police released 40 minutes of video today. Some of that video shows Kiya taking bottles of alcohol, putting it into her bag, then walking out of the store. Another video shows officers rendering aid. A warning, this video is tough to watch. Video from inside the state liquor at Kroger is timestamped 6:21 p.m. It shows Kiya walking around the aisles, then taking a bag out of her purse. She then takes more than a half dozen bottles of alcohol and puts them in her bag and a basket. She walks out of the store with two other women at 6:27. Police say she didn't pay for the alcohol. Exterior store surveillance video begins at 6:27 p.m. according to the timestamp, showing the officers in the parking lot helping a woman who locked herself out of her car. You can see Young walk to her black Lexus that was backed into a handicapped parking spot. Within seconds, the store employee runs out and gets the officer's attention. They then approach Young's car. At 6:28, Young begins to drive forward with the officer in front of the car. Body camera video shows about a second after the car starts moving, the officer fires one shot. Some of the video is too graphic to show, but the car continues forward. They pull Young from the car at 6:29 p.m. Camera video from the time officers pull Young from the car to when the officer runs her first aid kit is about 19 seconds. The two officers try to stop the bleeding and give CPR. Officers arrive on scene and the investigation begins. The officer who shot Young walks away with the other officers. With the release of the video, Blendon Township Police Chief John Belford said in his
tragic situation for everyone. Recognize that these videos will create more discussion and even anger by people who have, but we're simply complying with our promise of transparency and obligation to release public records as required by state law.
Okay.
Chris, 10 TV News.
All right. There you know it for yourself. Now, so you see, she was stealing alcohol. She was stealing alcohol at a Kroger. And then watching security, watching her the whole time. Then she leave out that store with other girls, y'all. I mean, they go to security right there watching the whole time. did, because it wasn't no. Here we go. Just be honest with yourself. Don't feel you're doing good. Okay, y'all. Let's go back to right here. The use of force. Because I'm gonna tell you something. This case remind me of Sonya. Like he was so trigger happy because she was just shoplift. She's not a murderer. She's nothing else. But she did like to run over that cop with her car though. She did do that now. So the use of force. I seen a lot of folks. Man, let me start. Here we go. Let's look at this. Let's look at this.
Brought in by the defense, telling jurors if Grubb was justified in shooting and killing Young. Police body camera video that shows Blendon Township Police Officer Connor Grubb shooting and killing Kiya Young and her unborn child. Again, center stage during Grubb's murder trial. They have reasonable perceptions to believe that the person was posing a threat of death or serious bodily harm. Retired law officer Kevin Davis, now a use of force expert, testifying for the defense Monday after reviewing Grubb's statement and body camera video of the fatal shooting that claimed the life of Young and her unborn child. The use of deadly force was, though tragic, was within the law and within Blendon Township policy and within generally accepted police standards and practices in Ohio. Grubb and another sergeant say they tried to detain Young in her car after a Kroger store clerk told police Young had just shoplifted nearly $600 worth of alcohol.
What?
The defense says Grubb shot and killed Young in self-defense when she accelerated her Lexus towards him. Once Ms. Young unfortunately accelerated into Officer Grubb, that was an immediate threat. Special prosecutors from Montgomery County handling the case say Grubb was not justified in shooting Young. Jurors viewing police body camera stills Davis says shows Grubb's 2 feet off the ground after he came into contact with Young's Lexus. Under cross-examination, prosecutors questioning Davis about Grubb's statement where the officer wrote he was thrown from the car. He was thrown off of the hood onto the ground. Did you ever see that happen? Yes, he landed on the ground, Counselor. He landed on the ground, yes. You're telling the ladies and gentlemen that this defendant was thrown off of the hood and landed on the ground? Yes, feet. It's in the video. It's feet. Well, I'm sorry, that's landed on the ground. He didn't land on something else. He landed on the asphalt of the parking lot. Special prosecutors scheduled to bring their final witness to the stand Tuesday morning, a use of force expert. The defense then expected to bring on the rest of their witnesses, including...
Now, what are y'all thinking thus far? Do you think that I don't know. He was not guilty on God dang. Wow, I just can't. I don't know. I wish I can show the video that I showed last night. When she got the store and she nearly ran over the cop. Let me see. Family attorney. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. So y'all, I mean, he was found not guilty. I'm trying. Let me find the video. I just want to find the video because of the shooting. That's his reaction. That's his reflection, and she. Okay, let me show y'all this. Oh, see, they showing y'all the news. I'm trying. Okay. Yeah, she was wrong. She was wrong. She was wrong now. She was wrong. But what I want y'all to do, I want y'all to hear from the mom don't hire a attorney. Now I can see a lawsuit. I can see the lawsuit. Not showed it, not guilty. So was he claiming that's we y'all they just show y'all. Y'all got they just show y'all. They just show y'all. I can't make it up. I can't make it up. That's why I'm trying. They going by the body camera. I can't make this up. So they were going by the body cam that they saw in the store. That they saw out there. Let me see something. I can't make it up. So let's listen to this. Let's listen to this, y'all.
About Officer Connor Grubb's not guilty verdict, frustration and relief collided, underscoring what's become a
See, right here. Pay attention, y'all. I'm not gonna make it up. Y'all have to make these decisions on y'all based on y'all knowledge. Y'all are grown people. Now, y'all, right here, she's in the car. She stole $600 worth of. She shoplifted that day. $600 and something worth of wine, alcohol. Y'all saw it. I showed it to you. Now look, they asked her to get out the car. This is what happened when they asked her to get out the car. You got an officer had the nerve to stand in front of the car. I ain't never seen nobody do that. He stood. I ain't know where in the world. Because I'm a police, I would have stood in front of that car like that. So when he pulled out stood in front of the car, this is what happened.
Tug of war over policing here in Central Ohio.
Now this is the mom. This is the grandmother attorney. Right here. Let's listen to him. Let's see what he thinks.
We fight for this to stop. We fight for change in the system, and it only comes from holding bad actors accountable.
Sean Walton, the attorney for the family of Kiya Young, sitting down with us Friday. As the verdict isn't just about one officer. It's about a policing system he says resists accountability.
Yeah, in a case like this, those who felt like this was wrong, I think we're all a little hurt.
An FOP president, Brian Steele, who also sets criticisms.
The chance of that.
I don't see what he could should he I that's just my opinion. These are just my opinion, y'all. Like you have an opinion. This is just my opinion and not necessarily based on the facts and the knowledge. But what I'm saying, police officers are going to go through, they're going to go through this. Now, but first of all, I seen something wrong that the cop do that I ain't never seen no cop do is stand in front of somebody's vehicle. I never seen a cop stand in front of a person's vehicle after they don't shoplift from a store. And then a cop on the side of her, where her window was cracked, he asked her to get out the car. But she intended to move with the vehicle. Why the cop? I don't know why that cop got in front of that car like that, y'all. I got a problem with that. Was he ready to force? Was he ready to use force? Was it necessarily for him to use force? I'm trying to see, what did the jury see? I mean, they couldn't have saw what I saw. I don't think it's necessarily I didn't think that it was necessary for them to shoot her, because they could have done a police chase. Anything else we can't. I don't think that it was right, y'all. To me, I don't think it's right. And I'm not even looking at color or nothing like that. I just don't think it's right because on your job, you got protocols and certain things that you got to keep taking measures, strategy, and measures and strategies before you react. And to me, in this case, and like I said, these are my opinion, that the officer reacted quickly over a shoplifter and trying to get away. He stood in front of her car. They could have did a police chase. That's the way but I'm not the law. In certain states, the laws are different, y'all. The laws are different. They are different. So let's listen to him. Now, the way what the guy was saying right here was the way the attorney was speaking up for the grandmother, but that is that attorney job is to take up for the grandmother to get a lawsuit. Now I'll go for the suing. Now, but y'all got to look at this. Listen, this what is tell y'all something like what happened to in the Kaniga Jenkins case. It's almost like dame if I do, dame if I don't. Let me get something out of this. Y'all remember they wasn't gonna put no charge on nobody in the Kaniga Jenkins case. So they had acquitted this man, not him, but Connor. So let's get some money. So let's get something out this deal. Let's get something instead of nothing. So what the grandmother is going to do is fight for her daughter, because the only thing she did, she shoplifted, which was wrong, but that don't have nothing to do. We don't know what was on her mind. We don't know what was going on with this girl. We don't know if somebody was making her do that. I never see nobody steal in front of a counter, steal in front of the people. I never seen this happen before. What did somebody make her do that? They don't even know what was going on. Was she so scared? What happened? I ain't never seen nobody steal like that, knowing somebody watching you. Maybe she was saying she need help and couldn't say she need help. So when she went outside, she got kids, y'all. And she had to get away. So I don't know. I think they need to do something. They need to I don't know. Listen.
Argues that message sends the opposite signal, that officers won't be held accountable.
I have a real issue with the way they come out and speak about this, because it's never about the facts. It's about trying to keep people from piercing that blue line.
Steele pushes back, saying the FOP isn't defending every action of officers, just the ones they believe are justified. In this case,
was a reaction, bad decisions.
Life was in danger.
Well, he 100%.
I don't think that his life not guilty. So he was claiming himself. Okay, no more questions. To the point, is this you? Is this you? Cause this is not. I don't know what's going on right here. Yeah. I don't know. This is not the same lady that I been talking to. But the reason why I said it is because this I think that the officer put himself in this position. I really do. You said I am curious. I don't know if this you the same person. I am also curious, just curious as to why she was. I think that somebody. I see. We can think all day, and it's everybody's opinion. I believe that to me, the thing, she wasn't acquitted about the alcohol. So we need to stay focused on what she was acquitted of. She was acquitted for when the officer asked her to get out the car. She didn't get out the car. She attempted to run over him in her car. That's what she did in this case. So that's what the jury looked at, what she did in this case. She attempted to run over the officer. Now, I never seen an officer stand in front of a vehicle, a stand vehicle. He should have put his car in that position, but I would have never put my body in that position. And then when she tried to get away, he went over there on the side of her car and shot her in the chest. Now, y'all, with the pregnancy part, he didn't know she was pregnant. We don't know. He don't know her. I don't know her. I don't know. And when I watched the cam record, the body cam, they wasn't really showing too much. But allegedly, they snatched her out the car once she was shot and tried to do CPR on her. I ain't never seen nobody do CPR on a person being shot in the chest. I didn't even know you're supposed to give CPR on a person who been shot in the chest. I didn't know it because the blood already flowing. So, that's another case. It's crazy right now.
Dust from Friday's verdict settles. The gap between the community and police seems only to widen. They remain sharply divided on how to get there, and the future of policing here in Central Ohio remains a debate far from settled. This is certainly a conversation that is only gaining intensity. We will continue to follow reaction from the young family and the FOP.
Let's see what this attorney, what he's saying.
Well, we respect the grand jury comprised of citizens from right here in Franklin County indicted this defendant, meaning that they found probable cause that he should be criminally charged and that this case should proceed to trial. Well, deserved to have a jury as to whether or not the defendant, the officer in this case, his use of deadly force was justified or was it not? And their verdict today spoke to that. They've made their decision. And whether or not the state agrees with it is irrelevant. It's the jury's decision. They spoke to that. And it's always been a matter of the citizens of Franklin County through their jury to determine what is and what is not an acceptable use of deadly force in their community.
Can you talk to me about maybe those who weren't following the whole trial? The difficulty of your role as a special prosecutor to come in here and try this case?
Well, it's never easy first off to come into a court and a county
that you're not familiar with. Obviously, the judges, the defense counsel, everything that goes along with that. But more importantly, it never brings pleasure, certainly to a prosecutor for criminal charges. But that's how our system works, and that's our job as special prosecutors, was essentially to come in here and make sure the jury got a full presentation of the evidence and the facts, a fair presentation of what the facts were in this case, so that they could make an informed decision, and that's what they did.
Yeah, there were a lot of emotions in that room from everybody, both sides and the jury. Seeing those emotions, it had to have been hard for you guys as well. What did you think of all the emotion in the room?
It's an emotionally charged case. It's a difficult case, I think, from both sides, obviously, for the families from both sides of things. And unfortunately, at this time, I've not yet had a chance to sit down with Kiya's family and to get their thoughts, obviously, their emotions. Certainly, I'm confident to say they're disappointed in the verdict, and I'll have that conversation with them. But there's no surprise there's emotions involved, as there should be. They've lost, their daughter, their granddaughter, family member who's not going to come back. And when you have that conversation with them, how are you going to approach this? Well, I'm not going to share that in public. That's a conversation that I'm going to have with them in private, out of respect for them.
And that case is different. Will you guys get a chance to speak with the jurors in this case?
Counsel's not speaking with the jurors in this case. As you probably noticed, the jury was emotional when the verdicts were read. So they've gone through, I've lost track, a 3-week trial, and we certainly thank them for the dedication that they put in for these 3 weeks, these long days, and not only listening to and considering the evidence, but their deliberation. So it's been emotional for the jurors as well. We've gone through 3 days of deliberation that tells you it wasn't an easy decision for them as to whether this was justified or not.
Tell a little bit about the strategy of using his statement in your case, potentially keeping him off of the stand, and what, maybe a different strategic decision he would have been on the stand, and that could have influenced the case. Is that something you guys have thought about?
Well, strategy goes into it to a certain extent, but more importantly, wanting the jury to have a full concept of what the facts in the case were. That's the most important thing to the state of Ohio, is to not to be hiding evidence. We wanted them to have the defendant's statement, whether or not he took the stand. And that was important for us to put in front of them.
Is there anything else you guys want to add?
I don't have anything further.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks,
It's heartbreaking. I think we all felt that emotion in real time, and that was the culmination of what they had dealt with for over 2 years. The heartbreak of knowing what happened initially and believing for years that just served, and just understanding how hard it is to convict a police officer in this country. The burden is high for murder already. It's even higher when an officer is involved, and it's also heartbreaking because what it does is it normalizes behavior like what Connor Grubb exhibited that day, and that is not normal behavior. We look at these recent killings, these recent police killings in Columbus, and you have officers who have an unreasonable and irrational fear with no weapons involved, or folks doing very minimal behavior. It's not something that should be normalized. It is something that I believe that police officers don't want to see normalized, because it's just not justifiable. And so what this did was it set an example of a situation that could be deemed to be justified in the future. And I think we all agree that this is a tragedy that should never have happened. Connor Grubb was a trained officer that day. Kiya Young had a gun placed in her face, and she had a split-second decision to make. And I cannot say what I would do in that situation, but I can say Connor Grubb also struggled in a split-second situation with years of training. In a petty theft situation, 2 lives were lost. It's not just about Kiya. It's an unborn daughter that does not get to step foot on this earth. And you have sons who grew up without their mother, and it's just heartbreaking. My hope is that we all understand that there cannot be 2 justice systems in America. We just have it that way. We have to have a is wrong. And it's just heartbreaking to know that the family has to deal with this in this moment. But we'll keep fighting. You know, we have a civil suit that is ongoing, and we'll keep pushing forward.
How does this verdict impact your civil suit?
It doesn't. I mean, the burden in the civil suit is lower, and I have no doubt that we will meet that burden. You know, no doubt about that whatsoever. But, you know, in this moment, that doesn't bring the family any solace. I mean, they're not thinking about the civil part. I mean, they wanted him to go to jail, you know, to go to prison. And so, you know, we'll push forward, and civil, civil cases afford us a bit more opportunity to dig into the systemic things that happen here, and to really ensure that the board, we can make sure that these incidents don't happen again. But, you know, we're pushing forward, and we're ready to go. It's important to understand that this is a criminal finding. This isn't a war finding. This is a civil finding. Kiya and her daughter should be alive today. And as Attorney Walton said, we shouldn't live by two different standards, two different set of rules, two different set of people. Connor Grubb's a professional. Kiya Young was a civilian. We expect her to act in a particular way in a particular circumstance. We don't expect Connor Grubb to exhibit the same level of professionalism. So this fight will continue. As Attorney Walton said, in the civil, we'll hold them accountable by any means we can. And we will continue trying to seek justice for this family. This family's devastated. Candidly, we are as well. But we're not exhausted. The fight will continue. We'll continue to push forward to get justice for this family.
So every morning we saw you guys gather out there and pray. How important is faith to you guys right now in this moment?
You know, it's kept Miss Nadine going throughout this time. I think every interview she's talked about her faith in God and believing that things will work out in their favor. And so the hope is that they can find the meaning in this. I mean, I think in this moment it's tough because what we see is, you know, even beyond this family, I mean, there are people throughout this country that witness what happened. There are police officers who witness what happened that believe that it's wrong. And so
that this could have been done a different way, because she didn't draw a gun on him, but he stood in front of her car. I got her, and she reacted. And to me, I'm surprised he got it. I would have put my car, anything that would have been in front of her car would have been my police car. It was parked right there. I can block her in. When the guy ran out the car, see, they was already working on the situation, y'all. And so what drew their attention to Kiya is when they was talking to the people behind her in that car. She went out to her. She had just stolen out of KROGER in the handicap spot. So the guy ran out of the car and said, "Oh, hey, stop her. It's no way in the heck I would have put my body in front of nobody's car. I would have put the police car vehicle in front of her car, but not me." So when she liked to hit him, and she liked to hit the cop, I don't know how she ended up. I'm surprised it didn't end up in a police chase, but it ended up on the side. But he on the side. We really didn't even see the body cam that good. I don't even see how they came up with this judgment. The verdict. If we couldn't even see what was going on, we didn't even see the shooting. We didn't even see what happened to the girl. When did she get shot? We didn't see that on the body cam. Maybe the jury saw it when they went in the room. Maybe they saw it instead of us. So if he was an experienced cop, they could have did a different decision. They could have made a better decision. I don't think his life was threatened, because the other cop life wasn't threatened. She didn't do it, but still, she was shoplifting, not murdering nobody. So I think that training I agree with this attorney right here. Training, here we go again with the training. The way the new generation a 8 years officer, 5 years, 10-year officer coming in with this new policy, with this new look on their protocols, what they can do. That's the way I see it. Lack of training, lack of knowledge in the rules. But officer was doing what he was trained to do. That is not a good training to put your body in front of even me. And I went in the world. I see somebody enraged and I get in front of their car. And I see they're not gonna I see if I see there, it's two cops there, it's not one cop. So somebody should have been in, they jump in their vehicle real quick. But both of them chase our car. So I got everybody looked at this video right here now. They can't do something about this now. I ain't on nobody's side, but justice won't serve in this situation like this, y'all.
An officer indicted for killing a pregnant woman on duty. And my hope is that it's the last time it happens. Unfortunately, the result does not lend itself to holding officers accountable and ensuring that they think twice. How does this affect your outlook on the other cases going on in Franklin County, specifically Franklin County Sheriff Deputy Jason Dean and Ricky Anderson as well? Yeah, our hope is that we'll get a set of jurors on those cases that will see the tragedy in those cases as we hope they would have seen in this case. Jason Dean's case is coming up, and then Sir Anderson's case is coming up, and the Don Lewis case as well. We've had a conviction, fortunately, in one of these cases. Adam Coy, we had a conviction, and we're hopeful that the truth of that case will bleed over into these other cases. Unfortunately, it didn't happen here. We respect the jury and their consideration. We're disappointed. We don't believe the evidence should have led them to this result, but we have a system of justice in this country, and we have to follow it. But we're confident that the next round, when we deal with Meade and Anderson, moving forward, that there will be justice found in those cases as well. I know you spoke to the family right before. What did you tell them? What did they tell you? I think, they believed that there would be a conviction. I mean, up until the moment that the words were read, there was no doubt that there would be a conviction. So, Mr. Tim, Kiya's father, and you heard the frustration out there. Candidly, my daughters knew about this case, and they're 7 and 9 years old, and that part is heartbreaking. We need to have a real conversation about policing in this country, not just in this community, but how we as a community view police officers and law enforcement.
Y'all got to really look at this. She didn't have a gun on her. She didn't draw a gun on him. I don't even see how they felt threatened over this woman just stealing alcohol, but she ain't had no gun. She didn't put a gun out on them. That's what I'm just on the truth side. She didn't put a gun on him. So how he feel threatened? Only reason why he felt threatening because he got in front of her vehicle. What was in his mind at that time? I saw what was in her mind. She trying to get away from stealing, shoplifting, but she don't have a weapon. She didn't draw a weapon on him. But that's in Ohio. That's state law, y'all. I can't change it. All I gotta tell y'all need to vote. Y'all need to start voting, people. All these people, want to get away with what they do and think they just don't want to admit wrong. Y'all got to vote. Y'all got to vote.
Believe happened here. There tends to be a default when it comes to law enforcement because we're taught that we need law enforcement for every single thing. When the reality is, perhaps we need to reevaluate the way we police communities. Certainly, the way we police communities, because what we found disproportionately is that when it comes to people of color are shot and killed, not given the grace of any sort of relief from these officers. So we need to have a real conversation about what it means to police in America.
will say this, and I'm not going to speak for Attorney Walton, but I don't like to direct people on how to conduct themselves when it comes to issues like this. When you live in communities that are impacted by law enforcement in a way which this case shows, I don't think it's fair to judge those communities. So I'm not going to sit here and tell the community how they should conduct themselves. I understand what I'm supposed to say here today, which is everybody be peaceful and pray and kind of take their time. But the reality is we're feeling the same way that they're feeling. I've got 2 sons. Like Sean said, he's got 2 daughters. They have to grow up in this world, and we have to teach them a whole different standard when it comes to if they run into the police. We see our children in Kiya's case. So respectfully, I'm not gonna presume to judge the community on how they conduct themselves. And I'll say, I think rioting is doing the community a disservice. I believe there will be systemic change. I believe there will be an informed community that understands the system, understands what we're up against. Jurors don't get paid a lot. They don't have child care. Many times, folks who would bring a different perspective are not on the jury. And we saw 3 black jurors dismissed by the defense in this, and there was no reasoning stated. So we're already at a deficit in terms of who's actually considering the facts here and who's bringing a different perspective into the jury room during those deliberations. And so again, understanding the system, you can prevent this from happening in the future in a different way. And so I think what we see is 4 officers who are facing, a jury for their actions on duty for killing people, and that's different. That's transparency more and more. I believe what happened here was very transparent, and so it goes beyond rioting. It goes to understand systems that play. Those who come in and defend, these bad officers in those moments, and normalize that behavior. I think they should also feel some shame there because they know how they feel about the shooting as well. For sure.
What about kids and impact on this case? We saw the family bring Kiya's 2 sons to court yesterday. They didn't stay very long, but we then saw some commenting online about they wanted the jury to see the kids. Who's they? I mean, that feels a little informative, but what was the purpose of having them here?
Yeah, so I can't tell anybody how to act in that moment. If somebody close to me was killed and my family experienced that throughout this process, I would want them to know this is what the system looks like. This is what this is what being held accountable looks like. And so I would certainly just understand that for them, they don't know what happened to their mom outside of a police officer took her life, and it was unjust. And I'm sure they've heard for 2 years now that there will be justice. And so I don't think it was performative. I don't think it was meant to bring out any emotion. I mean, you can't be any more emotional than what was already taking place. I mean, a baby was killed. We saw autopsy photos of a baby. And so there's no need to bring any more emotion out here. And honestly, I mean, they showed strength throughout, that time. They did not try to do anything to influence this process at all. So, I have nothing but respect for them. My heart goes out to those boys because their experience with the system is not a very kind one. And they'll have to live with that for a while. Wrong here. Connor Grubb is the one who pulled the trigger. Connor Grubb is the one who has us all here right now. Again, folks try to point out to Kiya's actions, and I think, again, normalizing what untrained, scared citizens, we have no understanding of their mental capacity, how fast they react to commands. You have one person shouting at her right here. You have a gun pointed in your face right here, and you don't know why because you're talking to this person right here. And so, she did not press the gas in that moment. She clearly did not want to harm him, but I think it showed from the time he came up and pulled the gun that he was going to harm her. He was going to shoot her if he had to do so. And for some reason, he believed he had to do so, despite the fact that she was being calm.
shocked at the gunshot. That's the one that's reasonable. That's the one who, should be judged by that standard right there, because he understood, I'm going to talk to her, use my de-escalation tactics that I've been trained to utilize. I just I don't understand how we can normalize this officer making a decision to take a life with her trying to avoid him at a slow speed. We have conversations all the time. I'm not going to speak for Sean, but my sons are aware of what I do, but we try to keep them shielded as long as possible as we can from the realities of being, in my case, a black male in this country. But I know the day is going to come when we're going to have a conversation that says you need to conduct yourself a certain way just so you survive this encounter with law enforcement. And when it comes to being black in America, when it comes to policing in black America, there's two different sets of rules. We're told not to jump to conclusions, but I can't help but wonder if Kiya would have been a white woman, how would he have conducted himself in that particular scenario? Would he have shown her the grace that Kiya and her child deserve? That's the question that we're all left with, because of a full life. She leaves behind two sons, so who also unfortunately would have to have those conversations as well. So we really need to reevaluate the conversations we're having. And respectfully, what we would ask moving forward, there was a lot of media coverage, a lot of coverage of the theft portion of this case. And we understand it can be sensational at times, but the reality is stealing liquor at a grocery store doesn't mean a death warrant. It shouldn't mean a death warrant. And if we're going to be the type of country we want to be, the way we treat people who even are accused of crimes says a lot about who we are as a country. So unfortunately, I'll have those conversations at some point, hopefully not soon, but it's inevitable when you're living the black experience in this country.
I think that literally spoken to kind of soft and emotional and swallow a little bit. You spent a lot of time with this family. Is there anything you want to say to them? I'm sure you'll say it, but is there anything more that you need to know?
Yeah, that we all know the truth and that we're fighting for them. It is emotional in so many ways. To answer the question, my daughters will probably cry when they hear the news, because you cannot shield them from, the realities of what happens. And this one has always been tough, because not only was she a woman, but she was pregnant. And while they're taking in the reality of what happens too many times, to internalize that, that these little girls could have that same fear, they're going to take it hard. Not quite sure what I'm going to say. A few years ago, my daughter asked if the mean man that did what he did to Casey is going to come get her. These are things that too many communities are having to internalize and process and wonder if you'll be next. And will there be any justice for what happens to you? And I think that's also why, Robert and I fight these cases, because unfortunately, when people don't take the time to assess, to consider the situation, it could be me next, it could be Robert next. I have a suit on right now. If I look otherwise, who knows how I've been treated? And so it's important that we figure out how we all talk about this stuff, right? To Robert's point, like, to normalize and to talk about the theft when there's a murder that also took place.
I think that just my opinion. These are my opinion, and these are my opinion. So you can make your own opinion on the video, but these are my opinion on the video, not necessarily based on facts or knowledge. But I think it needs to be more training. It needs to be some real training and update training. And the police force, I'm not about to sit here and blame the police for everything that we do wrong. Everything that we see, I see that this situation could have been avoided. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. What can I do about it? Ain't some. I just like I said, I've never seen a cop get in front of a car. I always seen the cop put their car in front of a car because I knew she was gonna. Somehow I knew that she was gonna move that vehicle, y'all, and that's just the attorneys. Let me see what else they're gonna say. Let me see. Oh, okay, let me go to. Let me see what I can get everybody a chance to talk. Let me hear the defense.
I think, they'd rather get out and try to make a stand, despite what the facts show. So it makes it difficult. We can't negotiate with terrorists. Thank you. You know that was whatever those 12 people decide in the jury room. And I've said the exact same thing when I've been on the other side of this. We've been on the other side of this. So we put our jurors in an impossible situation with these types of cases. So we're thankful for the effort, but you saw the emotion they had. You saw the pain that we placed them in this situation. And it really, and what I mean by that is our system is set up that when you indict a police officer with an expert at the grand jury level, and you start from that premise, of course you're going to get a charge. So I'm speaking in general now, you guys, and I hope you don't mind my soapbox, but the grand jury system has to change. Our legislature has to change. To try to indict an officer on felony murder is unconscionable. And I understand reckless homicide. I understand other aspects. And if an officer purposely does something, absolutely, then the charge of murder. But the way this process goes right now, we need our legislatures, we need our elected officials to step up. But on behalf of Connor and his family, they thank all the jurors for their service. They thank, for putting the effort in and the time. And you saw their emotion as well. For the rest of his life, he has to deal with this. And he, trust me, you didn't get to hear from him because the government put his statement on, but he feels he took a life on duty and realized another's life after the fact. And to walk around with that is a difficult situation. In terms of the other stuff, I was able to hear some of the civil attorneys. They have a job to do. I get it. But what's happening is they're tainting potential jurors. They're tainting the jury pool in Franklin County. And again, we have to change the process for our change of venue stuff. We have to have a fair situation here. So again, we're very thankful for the service of the jurors, and it's an impossible situation that they're put in. And we believe that they follow the law. And they follow this. The bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, no matter what you say from any angle, a car was used towards a London Township police officer, and he had to react. And so that's the society that we live in, and this is just not that complicated in terms of this.
When I consider that some of the issues that were brought up in court, the body worn camera video being played out, and the family's emotional reaction during that, and at the end of rebuttal, some statements by the special prosecutor, did you fear that was gonna?
From a defense standpoint, you have to protect the record, and so in that aspect, those types of things. Do I want to bring those to light? Do I want to put those out there? No. I mean, how am I going to tell a family that lost a loved one and a potential granddaughter of how they're supposed to feel in that? So when I probably in how many trials I've done, I've probably objected maybe 5 or 6 times at a closing. But again, there's certain points that it's easy to cross the line if you're the prosecutor. It's easy to cross the line if you're a defense attorney because it's so nuanced and the case law is so difficult. Step in and come up with jury instructions that are vetted, that go through things. Every time in these cases, any judge that has one of these has to, in fact, create jury instructions. And they're case specific. But our legislature has to step in as well as our elected officials to prevent this type of
Time with Connor, I assume his family as well. So now the judge's raised verdict. You guys just spoke with them. What was it like for them?
It's a relief. They've lived this every single for the last 2 years as well, and so they're
Young children. Conroe from day one said, "What happened?" Because he said, "I don't understand why." And unfortunately, we told him, "You're going to get indicted." Okay, and he couldn't comprehend that in his mind because of the type of person he is. Because he was deployed twice. He was deployed twice in the Marines. He has 2 little children. His wife is a part-time teacher. This is what they do, and that's what he did at London Township. And so it's very difficult for him to sit in a chair when you have an expert like Seth Stoughton, who has never testified on behalf of a police officer, telling you that you shouldn't stand in front of a car, and therefore you're
Right.
going to prison.
This is what I was just saying. That how he stood in front of that car. Who trained him to do something like that? Who trained him to stand in front of that car like that? You don't do that when somebody enraged. When a situation has happened, you never put your life in front of this is not worth it. Now I'm back just a little bit what he just said. And I'm glad he mentioned that because I'm confused about that part. Why did his mind tell him to get in front of a car with someone enraged? Y'all, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on mentally, but it's so many angry people in this world and sensitive about. They want to be mad. I mean, even the officers. The situation. They ain't taking the consequences in the situation seriously. Ain't no way in the heck I'll stand in front of nobody's car. Nobody's car. Even if I'm an officer and I put my car, I put my police truck in front of that car, but not my body. No, no.
Because of the type of person he is, because his entire life has been dedicated to serving his country in the Marines. He was deployed twice. He was deployed twice in the Marines.
He was deployed twice. His wife was a part-time teacher.
And that's what he did at London Township. And so it's very difficult for him to sit in a chair when you have an expert like Seth Stoughton, who has never testified on behalf of a police officer, telling you that you shouldn't stand in front of a car, and that therefore you're guilty, and therefore you're going to prison for a life sentence for 15 years to the parole board.
but we knew the writing was on the wall, which is what the point was.
What did Officer Grubb say? Has he said anything about staying on as a police officer?
That part is personal right now. What he told us is thank you so much, and he started to cry, and so with his wife, and they have things to say, but that's between them, and they're going to need some time on this.
And they talked about their plans for the future now.
We haven't talked to them about that. It's
One day at a time.
yeah, it's one day. If you're potentially, if it's a not guilty verdict and your life goes on, and you're always affected, like we said in this case, everyone in that court was affected from this, and it will impact them for the rest of their lives. But how do you talk about what you're going to do in the future when you might be going to prison for a life sentence with no chance of parole 15 years, or you're walking in the door? So, those types of things are difficult, and in time, I'm sure they will. But they wanted us to express their thanks to the community, to the support that they've gotten, and they understand the frustration.
I don't think that officer had enough training, y'all. Here we go, putting another young officer in a position like y'all did Sonya. This guy was deployed twice. He was moved to a specific location for a particular mission. So did he? Here we go with another officer in Sonya, like Sonya case in the military. Protect their country, but they've been deployed twice for a reason. I don't know, y'all. Mm, mm, mm.
The pain that this young's family feels, and it's real.
Security concerns at all. Extra deputies outside the court. Or that there's going to be issues related to Henry's family.
Let me answer that question. Because we're involved in these types of cases, there's been issues in other cases. We're always trying to prepare for that, and that's where I think that the FOP and the support system and officers who are retired officers here supporting them, that's the kind of security that they. And your question about the guys, I'd like to go to a different level. It's difficult nowadays in courtroom when people have a right to protest. People have a right to get a permit and do their stuff. But when you're sitting right next to jurors who are waiting for a ride home, when you're all in other areas and stuff like that, again, it's places everybody in a difficult situation because both sides, all three sides, the judge, the prosecution, and the defense, they just want a fair trial. And so what happens is because these are such emotional cases and because the feelings run so deep that people end up acting a certain way and doing a certain way sometimes that maybe they wouldn't do in a normal type case and stuff like that. So that's the hard part of these types of cases.
It's already definite the need for change, but what do you think this verdict means for future cases that you guys are a part of involving officers?
I mean, I just really think it's a case by case basis. So I don't think that this sends a message to any of the other cases or anything like that. As you know, everything is case specific. So I mean, I'm hopeful it has restored my faith in the Franklin County jury system, that jurors can actually follow the law, and so that's what we'll be pushing here on out.
The type of change we're talking about is big picture. The type of change is those special prosecutors who in their lives prosecute criminal defendants, and they work with law enforcement. So they're put in a hard situation. We're put in a hard situation. We represent criminal defendants every day of our lives. 90% of our practice is on the other side. And so the situation is such that in federal court, they're appointed for life. So if the parties agree to waive a jury, you try this. These are legal issues.
I'm not gonna hold y'all up. It's three. You heard from three different individuals. Heard from the prosecutors. You heard from the grandmother's attorney. You heard from the defense attorney, and I just think that young people. I don't think. My thinking I think that it could have been happened another way. I don't understand how he got all the way out of this. But who am I? Who am I? Y'all like, share, and subscribe to the video. I'm out.